It's a challenge, but I am going to try to make the only active focus video you will need. Hi, I'm Jem and I'm following Jake Steiner's EndMyopia method to get back to 20/20 vision and life without glasses. It's all based on science, not magic, and if you want more information, I'll pop some links in the description down below. There are tons of resources if you're trying to learn active focus, but still people seem to have trouble. A lot of people are still asking the question, how do I do it? Why can't I find it? It seems that no matter how many resources are out there, how many people have answered this question on the forums, on YouTube, people just keep asking. So I thought it might help if I tried to bring a lot of these answers together into one video, because different approaches and different methods seem to work for different people. So if I lay out a whole different range of ways you can approach active focus, hopefully one of them will stick for you. The first and most often cited way to find active focus is by looking at some text. Jake has suggested this many times, as have a lot of his students. Find a book, hold it in front of you where it's clear, and slowly move it away from you until it becomes just the slightest bit blurry. Look, the danger here is that you're going to make it too blurry. You don't want it very blurry, just not crisp anymore, okay? Depending on your correction, you might be able to do this with no glasses at all. If you're about a -2 or -3, you should be able to do this reading from a text up close on a book without correction. If your myopia is a bit stronger than this, you might need to wear glasses for it. And if you don't have differential glasses yet, that is glasses of a lower strength specifically for doing close-up work, if you only have your full correction glasses, you might not be able to do this very easily because it relies on having a little bit of blur. So either no glasses or a weaker pair of glasses that allow you to have some blur. So once you've got the text where it's just a little bit blurry, it's lost that crisp sharpness, now it comes time to try to clear it up. Now don't try and squint, don't try and strain. It's not like that. It's not that kind of thing. It's a relaxing thing. What you need to do is tune in to the actual physical ink on the page. Stop looking at the words, at the sentences, at the whole page itself. Pick one word or even one letter. Maybe even just part of a letter. And then just look at it as though you're really curious about it, as if there's something really interesting about it. And remember, don't squint. I don't want to see any of this. Now, if things haven't come into focus yet, try relaxing. Now, I'm not talking about the muscles around your eyes or your eyelids. You don't need to be like this, but you need to get your brain to tell your eye, relax. It can help to relax your shoulders, relax your neck, relax the face muscles. It's not like your shoulder muscle exists by itself. Everything's connected to everything else. So if you can't use your brain to tell your eyeball to relax, then use it to let other muscles nearby relax. And hopefully it'll kind of have a bit of a knock-on effect. Another trick you can do to try and help your eye relax is to imagine when you're breathing in that all that breath and oxygen isn't going into your lungs, but into your eye. Breathe into your eye. It's more of like a mental trick, but it works with many parts of the body when you have tight muscles. Imagine breathing in to that part of the body where you have muscle tightness, and it helps it relax. And remember, this isn't about being able to read text. Text is just an excellent high contrast stimulus that you can use. Another approach that you can use, which you can also apply to the print pushing method, is the idea that you can kind of draw over the lines with your vision. Lejos on the forums describes this as like painting the letters with your eyes. So I guess imagine that your vision is a paintbrush, and as you look at the letters, you're actually painting over them. Tinny K on the forum also describes something similar. She calls it tracing the letters. I do a similar thing too, but the way I think of it is like a little hand reaching out of my eyeball and patting the thing I'm looking at. I think it just helps you get in tune with the edges of things. This kind of also ties in with Weiyun's description that Jake shared of describing the blur, which was something that really helped me understand active focus. Before I heard this description, I was thinking that I had to squint in order to clear things up, and that was active focus. And I thought to myself, this is really going to give me a lot of creases around my eyes, but cosmetic concern versus actual eyesight. Okay then. But when Jake shared this video about describing the blur, it really cleared things up for me. See what I did there? That is, instead of looking at text or anything else and trying really hard to clear it up, you just look at it how it is, accept it how it is, but pay attention to how it is so that you can describe the blur. And I found that when I did that, the blur when I started describing it was significantly reduced by the time I finished describing it. Another thing you could try is something suggested by Michele Zucchi to find active focus. He tries to detach the words from the paper. Obviously not literally, this is a mental activity, but imagine the print on the paper coming off the page. The next trick you can try is just appreciation. Just start to appreciate what your eyes can see, whether that's blurry, whether that's double vision or halos or whatever. Just appreciate what you can see. Because when you appreciate what you can see, you're bringing a certain awareness into your vision. You're not just someone sitting in the back seat while your eyes and brain do all the stuff by themselves and you don't even care, you're not even paying attention. You're actively appreciating what's going on and all that your brain and your eyes are doing. Wow. It's the difference between hearing something and actually listening to something. The difference between seeing something and actually looking. Be present in your vision. Notice what you see. Look at what you are looking at. It kind of makes it a double layer of awareness. There's your eyeball looking at text or anything else in the world, and then there's the awareness in your brain that is aware of the fact that you are looking at something, and it is aware of what that is that you are looking at and how clear it is. You get what I'm saying? This links up to what Reannon said in one of her videos about tuning into a ticking clock, like having a ticking clock in your room that you never really pay attention to, and then stopping and actually tuning in to the ticking. Suddenly it's there and it's really obvious and present in the room, whereas before it wasn't. But actually it always was present. The thing that has changed is your awareness of it. Active focus is like that. It also helps to think of looking at things with a sense of curiosity, like actually be interested in seeing. Recently on the EndMyopia forum, someone shared a video about horse riding. In this video, they talked about the difference between hard eyes and soft eyes. This is talking about when you're focusing on something, we have a tendency sometimes to just stare down the thing that we're trying to focus on. What they were recommending instead is to take a more relaxed gaze. Rather than staring really hard at the one thing they wanted to see and ignoring the rest of their vision, they became aware of their vision and relaxed their gaze. They described part of this as feeling like you're pulling the eyelids back towards the eye. Not that you literally pull your eyelids back towards your eye, but that's kind of how they were describing the sensation, which is hard to describe. I found this particularly interesting because in one of my previous videos about active focus, I talked about how it felt like I was looking from the back of my eye somehow, but I very much had the sensation that I was looking at the world from the back of my eye, not the front. The back of my eye felt very engaged. I felt like I had hopped back and suddenly things were clear. And on the EndMyopia forum, Marga also mentioned that she feels like she's looking from the back of her eye when she does active focus. So the idea in this horse riding video about that sensation of drawing your eye back somehow seems to match up with that description of looking from the back of your eye. Look, I don't know what's happening there. I don't know how else to describe that, but maybe if you use your mind to think, look from the back of the eye, something might just happen. I mean, this isn't floaty, ooh, power of the mind, magic, mental activity. Like, this is how the body works. You have a thought, oh, I'd like to move my arm. Move arm, and the arm moves. Like, we're just doing the same thing, except we don't have a lot of experience with telling those parts of our body to move. So we tell them to move and we don't know if anything's gonna happen. And sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. So give that a try, seeing from the back of your eye. Another thing that might be worth trying, especially if you have some divergence issues, and what I mean by that is moving the directions of the eyes. Because when you look up close at, well, let's say at this pen, if I'm looking at this pen, my eyes have to come together to meet at this point. Whereas if I'm looking at something further away, my eyes go much more parallel. And it might even look like they're going out a bit because I'm looking at something further away than the camera. Camera? Fridge. Camera, fridge, pen. All right, so there was the quick tutorial for anyone who doesn't understand convergence and divergence. If you have some divergence difficulty, and I don't mean anything big, just small, your eyes are more likely to or want to converge. And I think this is going to be a more prevalent issue for our generation because we are looking at screens and smartphones close up right in front of our face so often. We do so much close up in our modern lives that our muscles are being asked to converge most of the time. Look, what you use improves. So our eyes and our extraocular muscles are going to get very, very good at converging. And they're going to be reluctant to diverge if we don't keep using that skill often enough. So I don't think you have to have some kind of eye issue to have a small difficulty with divergence in this day and age. So one trick that can help with this is if you're looking back again at a text on a book or maybe at a computer screen, looking past that. Whether that's your computer is in front of a window and you look out the window and then look back, or pretending that you are seeing something on the other side of the computer or the other side of your book. Looking out the window and back kind of can reset your convergence divergence muscles for the distance that you're working at, but sometimes I find it useful to pretend that the book or the computer screen that I'm looking at is invisible and that I can't see it and I am looking straight past it, out the other side. I used to have my computer up against the wall and I knew that on the other side of the wall there was another room. So I used to pretend I was looking in the other room. Now that's gonna make your computer screen or book go blurry because you are not looking at it. But then you can bring your vision back to look at it and you stop when it's clear. And you might find that you don't bring your eyes in as much as you had before you did this. It might not work for everyone, but it's something to try. After all, in the end, this is all about learning to connect with our vision. So whatever you try is going to be part of your process of learning to connect with your vision and your eyes and your body. Okay guys, the next one I'm going to suggest looking at is central fixation. Now this is a Bates thing, and EndMyopia is not Bates, but that doesn't mean we can't benefit from some of the ideas. So central fixation, I think, look, I'm not a Bates student, I'm an EndMyopia student, so I might not know all the Bates ideas as well as someone who is actually studying Bates method or has done Bates method before. So I could be perhaps not the best authority on this topic. Perhaps, maybe, I mean, definitely not. But from what I understand, central fixation is the awareness of the fact that your central vision is the clearest part of your vision and everything around what you're focusing on is less clear. So it's not fixating on a central point, like it's not a sniper stare. It's becoming aware of what the clarity is in your central vision and noticing how, compared to whatever level of clarity that central vision is, even if it's a bit blurry, the things around that point are even less defined. So it's kind of backwards from what you would think when you're doing active focus, but I found it helps and some other people have found it helps too, because when you're doing active focus, you're thinking, I need to make the thing in the center of my vision clear. So this is backwards because you're like, well, the thing in the center of my vision is what it is, but it's definitely clearer than the stuff around. And just by becoming aware of the fact that your central vision already has an element of clarity to it, can help you develop that clarity. So just a thought. The next thing is blinking gently. Some people find that blinking really helps them to find active focus, whereas other people find that blinking actually undoes any focusing that their eye was in the process of doing. So test this one out, give it a try, blinking gently. Not hard blinks, and you don't have to blink loads and loads and loads, but some gentle blinks can help. Another approach has been strongly advocated by Dave from the forum and from the ShortSighted podcast. He thinks a more appropriate term for active focus is passive focus. So maybe if you think of it that way, you might find a bit more success. So what Dave advocates is not trying to see anything, not trying to do anything with your eyes, but giving your eyes the opportunity to do it by itself. So you look at something and you just observe. Just let the eyes do what they want. They might come into focus, they might go out of focus, but eventually they'll get it. This is what the eyes are designed to do. Sometimes we just have to get out of their way, you know? Dave suggests not trying to exert any kind of physical control over your eyes. You've got an active brain, but passive eyes. When I say active brain, you will to see, but you don't do anything. You let your brain be the active part in the process of desiring to see clearly, but you don't do anything with your eyes except just relax and let them do what they want. Give it a go. So now I'll do a little bit of a troubleshooting section, no particular approach or method, just things that you might run into. If you do this and you find you go from blur to double vision or halos, don't worry, that's good, that's improvement. Double vision is your brain already trying to process the blur and it's like getting there. If you notice that what you're looking at improves a little bit but is still blurry, then try doing this whole process with less blur to start with. Don't expect active focus to clear up half a diopter of blur. Some people might get that experience, but you don't have to for it to be active focus. Just bring the text or whatever you're looking at a little bit closer, give yourself a little bit less of a challenge, and you might be able to clear it up then. But ultimately, you don't have to have things crystal clear. You just need to see an improvement in the clarity. If you're finding that nothing is working, make sure that you've spent time giving your ciliary muscle time to relax. Spend a few days or maybe weeks minimizing your screen use, especially your phone use, and keep trying and be patient. Other things could be perhaps if you're sick, if you're unwell, like you can't expect your body to perform at its peak and it's busy doing other things right now. Wait until you're feeling better. You might be tired. Tired puts a lot of strain on the eyes. I mean, when you're tired, you feel it in your eyes. Your eyes are tired too. So try getting more sleep. Try again when you're more rested. If you're dehydrated, it can affect your active focus. So drink more water, cut back on the caffeine, cut back on the alcohol, and try again. If you're doing this and the light isn't good enough, that makes it a lot harder too. Especially when you're starting out, try with good, bright, natural light, especially if you can go outside into the sun, take a book out there. Light makes a big difference. Sometimes you might feel a little bit of stinging in your eye. That's okay. The working theory is that that's your ciliary muscle waking up, having a bit of a stretch after a long time of being stiff. Don't know for 100% if that is what is happening, but a lot of people theorize this and it makes sense to me. But don't worry if you get the stinging. A lot of people get the stinging. I mean, obviously, if your eye explodes, you might want to see someone about that, but just a bit of stinging, a bit of twinging, that will go away if you blink a bit, that's fine. If you get really watery eyes when you're trying to active focus, that's normal too. A lot of people get that. It happens more at the beginning. As your eye gets more used to active focus, it'll calm down. So don't stress. And if that happens, look, you're probably on the right track. Active focus should not give you headaches. It might if you are straining too hard to find active focus, if you are trying too hard, but active focus is actually to do with relaxing the eye, so you shouldn't get headaches. But if you do, like, it could just be because you're trying really hard to find it. Take it easy, keep trying, but give your eye breaks. The thing that might give you headaches besides straining is undercorrection, that is too undercorrected. Living in blur can give you headaches. So make sure you're not too undercorrected. Now, does active focus need to be done with or without glasses? Well, usually with glasses. Slightly under-corrected pair of glasses. So what EndMyopia calls the normalized glasses for distance or differential glasses for close-up. If you have quite low myopia, like a -2, then you probably don't need any glasses at all for close-up and you'll still have a slight blur challenge. So in that case, you wouldn't need to be wearing glasses. Sometimes it's also fun just occasionally to try and do some active focus with no glasses, even if you have higher blur. This is not your regular do it all the time active focus, but I find that my eyes can do amazing amounts of clearing for brief moments if I active focus without glasses. So this isn't the normal active focus that you would do day to day and make a habit, but it's just a fun thing to try, and I think it might help get you in touch with the fact that your eye can do this. Knowing that your eye can clear blur makes clearing up the tiniest bit of text easy. If you're having trouble active focusing, another thing to think about is, are you wearing contacts? Some people love wearing contacts for active focusing because they can include their peripheral vision a lot more easily. But for other people, it makes it harder because it does kind of limit the movement of your cornea. Jenny K on the EndMyopia forum described it as trying to stretch your foot with your shoe on. Another thing, don't get confused by the word blur. We are not talking about mountains of blur, so much blur that you can't see things very well, can't read things. All we're talking about is lack of crystal clear clarity. Tiny amounts of blur. Don't get confused. More like just slightly fuzzy, like a soft lens in old movies. Just a lack of sharpness. That's all you need. Another thing you might experience early on when you're trying to active focus is a little bit of an ASMR feeling. A little bit of tingling behind your eyes or around your eyes. I don't know why, but a number of people have reported it and I felt it too. It's pretty cool. Just enjoy it, but it doesn't last. So it might be just your muscles waking up after a long time of not being used. Eventually you'll be doing active focus without any kind of weird sensations like the stinging and the tingling. And you might not get the stinging or the tingling or the eye watering at all. So don't feel like those are compulsory pieces of this puzzle. They are not, but a lot of people do experience them. So just be aware of them. If you still haven't managed to see any improvement in what you're seeing, because what you're after is improvement, it doesn't have to be perfection, just improvement and that's it, then don't feel frustrated, don't feel bad about it. It's not because you suck. It could just be that your ciliary muscle is locked up from too much close-up time and there is no way that it can relax right now. You might need to spend a few days of being very intentional about avoiding as much screen use as possible, especially phones, and working on your edge of blur computers. Maybe after a few days or a week of acting like this, these kind of good habits, maybe try this again and you might find that there's a bit more movement in your focusing muscle. It's all part of the process and it's a normal part of the process. So don't feel bad about it if you need to take some time before your eye is relaxed enough to be able to use the ciliary muscle to focus actively on things. It's spent probably years letting a piece of plastic in front of your eye do the job for it. So just be patient with yourself and know that every time you try, even if you don't manage, you're making progress. Another possibility, if you feel like you didn't get it, is that you did get it, but you are waiting for something more spectacular. Look, sometimes on this EndMyopia journey, spectacular things will happen with your vision. Surprising things, exciting things. But active focus doesn't have to be one of those things. Active focus can be a really quiet thing. There are no trumpets, there are no choirs of angels, there are no fireworks. It's pretty subtle. All right, guys, that is a nice collection of really the main different ideas that exist out there, the different recommendations and methods of finding active focus. If you have another one, please leave it in the comments down below. I would love for there to be tons of different experiences listed here so that someone who's looking for active focus, really frustrated that they can't find it, might find in this video or in the comments down below the answer they are looking for, the method that works for them. I'm gonna leave it here for now. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I appreciate everyone so much who does that. Mwah! That's all from me for today. I will see you next week. Bye! Another thing with this is you might think you don't have it when you actually do. Because there's so much, where is my voice going? Come back! You'll be able to perceive something. You might not even notice it. I'm not sick, I'm just a mess. That is brighter than my face. Oh my word. This kind of also ties in with this. This kind of also ties in with Wei Yun's. Wei Yun, yeah. Oh. Whoa, I blinked funny then. Did you see that? Did it look funny? It felt funny. There might have been more. Ooh.